we're here for full expression. It's not about hoarding or having an identity about being rich. It's about serving and giving, and in that, the abundance of that. So I am on a mission to help people, in particular, women in particular, spiritual-based women coaches, to help them understand that it is our divine birthright to have abundance because we are abundance.
Queen, hello. How are you? I am so delighted and honored that you are joining me for today's podcast with my dear friend, Dr. Erin. Oh, she's a doctor of divinity. She is all things divine. She is one of my besties. She's also the founder of her business, Societe. She's the TV host of Good Morning La La Land, international best-selling author, top-rated podcast, and recipient of the Walden Wisdom Award of 2020. And she's a mom. She's just such a bright light. And I desired to have her on because her ability to articulate universal truth so that you are living a spiritual life, but also a life of abundance. She just does it in a way that no one else does. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode. Erin, Dr. Erin, it is such a great honor to have you here as one of my besties, as one of the industry experts on spirituality. Welcome to the Divine Living Podcast.
Girl, I just love you. I'm just so excited if we have to get together just because of a podcast. This is a spiritual, soul-based entrepreneur girlfriend thing. We come together, just do business. Why not?
Yeah.
Right?
We're gonna change that up. But in the meantime, we're gonna bless all of our listeners with your incredible amount of wisdom. And one of the million things that I love about you is your integration of spirituality and abundance. And I think that so often people come to me from all different spiritual backgrounds, Christian backgrounds, universal backgrounds, Jewish backgrounds, and there's just so deeply entrenched in, can I be spiritual, but it's not okay for it to be wealthy or have abundance or even to want more. And I just think that you are such the queen of talking all things spirituality and abundance. So that's why I wanted to dive in hot with this subject. So what do you have to say about being spiritual and abundant?
Yeah, I think that it's one of the most misunderstood things in spirituality and in religion. I think it is misinterpreted. And just like, the eye of a needle, a camel would be more likely to go through than a rich man. And where that comes from really is identifying. If our self-worth is tied up in being wealthy, then we do not understand the truth of who we are. We're here for full expression. It's not about hoarding or having an identity about being rich. It's about serving and giving, and in that, the abundance of that. So I am on a mission to help people, in particular, women in particular, spiritual-based women coaches, to help them understand that it is our divine birthright to have abundance because we are abundance.
One of the things, you flippantly said something when we were at brunch one time, and I was like, wait, and it has stuck with me ever since, and you and I haven't talked about this. You said something about, I'm paraphrasing, so I'm going to let you teach after this, but you said something about we deserve. Like the work that we have done, the seeds that we have planted, it was because I think a lot of people listening to the Divine Living Podcast, they're not new to this rodeo. People have been giving a lot, serving a lot, showing up a lot, launching a lot, and kind of haven't really felt like they've gotten their big break, their big moment, or that unleashing of the abundance. I remember one time you said something about well, we've been doing the work and we deserve it. And you just said it so matter-of-factly. I was like, wait, say more.
I'm not sure what I said at that time, but I probably was referring to something about universal law because that's my jam, right?
All right.
So as you already know, I'm speaking to the OG of OG, right? That basically there's a universal law, and whatever we give out has to be reflected back. So there's a point in time, I think, for all of us, especially if you're diving into entrepreneurship and being leaders and serving and helping people transform and bringing value to people's lives. There's a point where you're like, is this ever going to be reflected? Is this ever going to come back? And yes, and there's a point in time where we have to, it's almost like the universe demands us to live in faith, to know that it is just a law. It's an axiom. It is a fact of how the dynamics of the universe works, that if we give and serve and bring value, that it has to come back exponentially. But the trick is this.
Tell us.
If we have attachment and we want it to come back in a particular manner, we call that outlining. And when we outline, it actually stifles that process. So it's no longer about, let me get it from this particular client. Let me get it from this particular challenge. Let me get it from this particular whatever. It is knowing in faith, staying in that, and staying in the field of knowing it is coming back in a tidal wave. And watch me, it's coming beyond anything I've ever even know, because the universe and God is that great.
I love that you just used the word tidal wave, because there's a Joel Osteen book I've been reading, and he's talking about all of the examples in the Bible where God's going to show up in abundance like a flood. And there's it's all through the Bible. Like, it's not like a trickle, and it's not a stream, and it's not even a river. It's a flood. And you just talked about tidal wave. And so I want to give some hope and encouragement, because, there's so many clients, there's so many DMs that I get, and these women, they have shown up like for decades. Even they've been single moms. They've gone through, overcome traumas. They've wiped their own tears away in the shower and kept the faith and stayed positive and showed up at the crappy corporate job just so they could pay the bills, in faith. And they're doing their ministry on the side, or they're doing their coaching or thing on the side. And women are tired. And it's I hear them saying is it ever going to happen for me? And they are givers, and they haven't experienced this tidal wave yet. So let's give them some love.
Yeah. I want to first acknowledge anybody that's listening or watching in, and trust me, I know that probably Gina and I have both been there. I was a single mom waiting tables, not being able to put literally any kind of decent food on the table, and had many years where I worked for free in this industry, as we probably all have who have made it. And there are times when you question and you're like, what am I doing? And should I give this all up and all that? So I acknowledge you right now so much who's listening. Okay, I get it. This isn't the easy path. If it was an easy path, everybody would do it. But we have to know that we are so powerful that the moment that we even perceive or, have the contemplation of who we are informing our subconscious mind, which is one with the divine mind. And so it is in faith. And that is why faith is so powerful. It's not about believing something external. It's about believing that whatever you hold in consciousness has to be demonstrated in this world. And so as much as your challenge, as much as you want to give up, the real work is to get your mind right, and always keep your mind right, and know that no matter what, it's happening. And living in that faith and never succumbing to anything of this world, knowing that your heart and your mind is the divine mind, is one with God. And so that is our work. And I get it. It's hard sometimes, but that's why our faith is more important than any of the skill set we do. Because you can have a great skill set, but 99% of the work is all in consciousness, every drop of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think too that we just have to, when we hold that faith, like you're talking about, and we have to remember that not only is it coming for us, but it's meant to be a double blessing in the world. And sometimes there's other people and other factors and other global issues that have to get lined up. One of my coaches recently was talking about, she's like, whatever you think about Joe Biden politics is irrelevant. This was Joe's third run at president.
Wow.
His third presidential run. Can you imagine running for president, having all that crap said about you, all of the money, all of the work, all of the 20-hour days, and you lose, right? As you're considered a loser on a global scale. And then you're like, I'm going to do it again.
Seriously.
And then you go and do it again, and you lose a presidential race again.
Such a good point.
And then he goes and does it a third time. And again, for whatever people might think, it's like, obviously on some level, the universe thought that this was the time for Joe's skill set to be used. And I just want to give that note of encouragement to everyone, because everybody says, but I'm doing all the Instagram lives and I'm doing all of this and I'm doing all that, and it hasn't happened yet. Well, what we know for sure, what I hear Dr. Erin saying, is that your time is coming. It's universal law that what you hold in consciousness will happen, and it's got to also be for the others as well.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking I love that. I got chills when you're talking about it, because I can imagine going through trying to become president for 3 days. I can imagine the challenges involved in that, the perseverance involved in that. And my favorite quote, like I think so many of yours is as well, is commitment. Until one is committed, there's hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. The moment one truly commits, providence moves too. And I look at it like this. We're in a master class. We're here to be developed in our consciousness in this 3D realm. And so how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? What is the burning desire? What are you willing to do without income? Because if you don't love it without income, you're just going to not love it as much with income. I mean, that's the truth, is that money only enhances whatever you have and whatever your weaknesses and your strengths. So whatever you truly have a burning desire for, whether, we don't want people to do things for free forever. We're totally about abundance. But at the same time, would you do it for free? And if you wouldn't do it for free, then you don't love it enough. That's the reality, because it's challenging. And Gina will testify for this as well, right? It's like, it is intense. This work is no joke. And as you have success, there's many, even more challenges that come with the success. There's more growth. There's more of a masterclass. And it's not like the masterclass is going to get easier. The masterclass gets more advanced as you advance in your consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And the blessing does come, because I remember of all the times that I coached for free or did the discounted rates, and my first group program, I got 4 people in it, but my goal was 6. And I was like, how's this going to work? I only got 4 signups. And I was like, you know what? 2 of them have sisters. I called the 2 clients. I was like, would you like to put would you like to invite your sister for free? And she was like, yeah, my sister could really use it. I was like, great. And so I had 6 people in my.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I wasn't clear enough. I didn't say that I wanted 6 paying people. I said I wanted 6 people at my first group program. So you have to get clear on that. And where was I going with this? Oh, so anyways, all the times though that I did stuff for free, and I remember not that many years later, but years later, I was sitting in a dream home in Malibu, hosting a 1-day intensive, which at the time was like my favorite way to work. And I was like, I can't believe someone paid me for this. I'd do it for free.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. We're so lucky what we do. I mean, it really is a dream when you have a client that will, whatever, email you or text you and has a life-changing mindset shift, or they get their first client, or they have their first $20,000 a month, or whatever it is. And you're like, oh my gosh, everything I've dreamt about is actually reality. And that is so cool. And then you go, and there's these other issues I didn't even know that were going to come with this as well. So we get the good and the bad. We're in a relative universe, and we get all of it. We get the heaven, we get the hell, we get all of it, because we're never going to only have one or the other. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm. One of my guilty pleasures is, don't tell anyone, Erin, but I do TikTok every day on the treadmill. I'm like, that's my.
So awesome.
I just I flip through. And so today it was a Lady Gaga day on the treadmill on TikTok. And she was talking about, because I don't know a lot about how she began. I was a little late to the Gaga party. And so I just figured, because she's so young, she just whatever, probably started out in a few bars in New York, got a record deal super young, on her way to the Grammys and all the whole thing. And she was sitting there talking about how there was a song that they said, this might be the one that gets you somewhere. And she said, I played this song in every bar I could get into in America. And then I went and played this song in every bar I could get into in other countries. And she was basically alluding, they were like these really small dive bars. And then she said, and then I looked up one day and all of you were there. And she's like, in a stadium.
Wow. I love that. First of all, I just want to say, leave it up to Gina to be like, let me work out and let me figure out how to make it into work as well. That's so us, right? It is just like a whole world. Secondly, yes, I completely had some friends that were Grammy Award winners, and they were telling me the story of how they had their success. And they basically had been like traveling around, playing in different cities and things. And they went to their really successful friends and they said, how can we have more success? And they said, well, what are you doing? They said, well, we're touring. We're doing 100 shows a year. We're doing X, Y, and Z. And they said, we want you to triple it. So 300 shows a year. And every time in the morning, whenever you're in a city, go to the radio show in the morning. So I won't say their names, but anyway, so when they actually became top of the charts, what happened was it was a song that had actually already been out for quite some time. But it just popped. It went to one radio show and something happened and it just went. So the point is we can't get lucky if we're not in the game.
Yeah.
Right? Gina on TikTok, one of those TikToks on the treadmill. I'm sure we're already going viral, but we'll go really viral. And we just have to know and trust that it's just, you got to be in the game, giving yourself fully to it. And then and then when the divine's right, then it's time.
Yeah, just to be real clear, I'm not doing my own TikToks. I just watch TikTok.
Oh, I thought you should make them.
No. It's my guilty pleasure. I watch pop stars on the treadmill.
I got kicked off of TikTok, and I'm not going to say what happened, but it was bad. I showed someone else's content on Netflix that was not appropriate, just so you know. And it was really hilarious. And I literally, my account got shut down in 10 seconds. I've never been able to open it again. Yep.
The universe is just guiding you that your message is meant to be heard elsewhere.
I'm thinking the universe is like, I'm going to save you 100,000 hours of your life, girl. Mm-hmm.
Right? No pointing for Dr. Erin. Little bubbles above her head.
That's hilarious.
So I want to go back. So we're talking about Gaga, your Grammy friends, Joe Biden, like this element of faith. But what if someone's like, how do I have a stronger faith? Or how do I deepen my faith? If I have to have so much faith for this to happen, what do I do?
Sure. I mean, I'm a firm believer out of all the work, out of 25 years of seeking truth and coming from someone who I was completely bankrupt emotionally, spiritually, financially as 22 and having a stillborn son, full term, and deciding to discover the truth in this lifetime. And going on that mission of that commitment to just know thyself and spiritually waken up. And the one thing, surprisingly, out of all the work, yes, meditation's amazing. Yes, affirmative mind treatment is amazing. But the one thing that actually was the biggest, most transformational thing that I did in my awakening was trauma work. Mm-hmm. And trauma, the reason why is because we are the divine. We are one with the divine. We're the I am, is our pure, the truth of who we are. And then we're a unique divine expression in this body called me. And what we do is we use the one divine mind through our soul. And our soul is our limitation. It's through the DNA. It's through the soul, the energetic, condensing of the consciousness of whatever we perceive ourselves to be. And so what happens in trauma is, as we know, the subconscious mind is programmed through frequency and vibration. And how is frequency and vibration primarily created? It's by the meaning, the positive or negative meaning that we put on things. So in traumatic incidences, not like you don't necessarily have to be in war or in a car accident, an emotional traumatic incident is a high state of a negative emotion backed by a limited belief. So I'm not enough. I will never love. I can't trust. Something's wrong with me. I'm divided, basically. So doing the trauma work neutralizes the trauma the charge around it and releases those commands and those limited beliefs and allows yourself to fully express the DNA. Because what happens in trauma is actually it's tags through epigenetics now we recognize. So as we do our trauma work, it actually has us actually release and expand our DNA to be able to fully read it, which also expands our expression and perception of the world. So trauma work for me is the most important thing to release the beliefs, because you can want to be successful. You can want to become a multimillionaire. You can want to become a public figure as a coach online. But if you don't deal with the sabotage that's happening at a subconscious level, then it's just like puppet strings. And it's like, I'm not enough. And the universe just says, and so it is. So we have to get in and do our trauma work, the most important thing. And that's why I developed the E4 trauma method that ended up getting me the Walden Wisdom Award next to Oprah Winfrey, Greg Braden, and Michael Bernard Beckwith, because trauma is everything. Everything.
So if someone wants to come and work with you on their trauma issues, how does that work?
We certify women and a few men in learning how to facilitate it. We have programs where they do it where they can learn to self-process as well. But I highly recommend it for people to learn how to facilitate it, because then you get the pro bonus, you get back and forth, you get testimonials, you get all that work. But either way, you can come into Soul Society and come into a community that's committed to spiritual awakening and understanding how to do E4 trauma method, understanding how to do subconscious programming, whatever that is. So I do one-on-ones like you, but it's a very, very high end, 25 grand a quarter or 100 grand for the year. So not everybody can afford that,
Well, let's talk about your business. Let's talk about Soul Society. So share with everyone what it is and where they might see themselves there.
Yeah. Soul Society our mission is to awaken 1 billion people together. And we're really the number one spiritual coaching community. So we train and develop spiritual entrepreneurs, and we certify spiritual coaches in the modalities of metaphysics and universal law and the E4 trauma method and all the subconscious reprogramming. And then we develop spiritual practitioners, and I'm going to be launching the first Doctor of Divinity program with Emerson Theological. So my goal is to develop the most. Yeah. So I'm going to actually, my goal is to develop the most doctors of divinity on this planet.
Oh, Erin,
right?
It's been too long since we've caught up. I did not know about that. I actually didn't know about the trauma part either. I knew about the spiritual practitioner piece, but I didn't know about the basis in trauma, which just makes so much sense, because we are body, mind, and spirit. So healing the psychological so the spirit can do its destiny makes
do its thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Freedom. Mm-hmm.
Yes. What's your favorite universal law?
Well, there's really only one law, which is really, you could call it the law of cause and effect. First cause being spirit, all things, the fact. You can call it oneness or love. But there's one that because I'm making a 52 card universal law card deck. And it'll be coming out later in this year. But there's one that's my favorite, and you'll love this one because I know it's very Bible driven, if you will. The law of increase.
Talk to us.
Yes, the law of increase means that as you give thyself to life, life has to give yourself exponentially back. That there is something in you that is a desire that is of such greatness and such increase and such abundance and such love, that it is really the axiom of who you are. It's the truth of who you are. It's beyond just abundance. It's increase, meaning that whatever you increase, wherever you focus, is increased exponentially, just whether it be through serving, whether it be through tithing, whether through whatever it is, that it has to come back in such incredible increased ways. And I'm so curious for you, Gina, because I know that you use that word a lot. What does increase mean for you?
Increase, double blessing is what came up initially. That it's where everybody is blessed, where there's this increase of, part of it is what the need is. But, the more I get closer to God, the more I realize God gets such a bad rap. I mean, I can only imagine God's like, you really, I'm just here about what you need. I give so much more than what you need. I'm so much cooler than that. I do miracles. I do stuff that you didn't even dream of. And you're like, God's that provides my needs. So I think that really getting God out of the box and stop boring God with these limited views that we have about how much is it okay to receive. So increase to me sounds like the double blessing in the most expansive, exponential ways.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's such a fascinating word. I think it's also for me, like, how do I become the most expressed? Like increase my ability to love, increase my ability to serve, increase my ability to just be, with a global family, increase in all levels of just let me be the most me, the greatest person
Yes.
I am. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I love it. I love it. Tell everyone about your book.
My book is Awakening. It's a 40-day guide to mastering your spiritual mastery. You're developing your, birthing your purpose and your calling and all this stuff. It's actually was one of the hardest things I ever did, Gina, seriously. So I'm not a writer. Like English was my worst topic. I just was not that little girl. And so for me, I began to write notes over the course of when I was doing a lot of my awakening, transformation, leadership, everything. And I had this thing. And one day I went to I was in a spiritual center working, and I had this minister. She's this great, amazing, most gorgeous woman, about 80 something years old. She was giving this beautiful talk. And at the end of the talk, she said, what is the one thing? The one thing that if you knew you completed that one thing, you would know you could do anything in this lifetime. And I went, it was like a dagger into my heart. I was like, I know I have to finish that book, And so I was like, I have to write the book. So it was probably the hardest thing for me to do, just because it was like the opposite of how you're supposed to write a book. Now, if I sit down and write a book, it's like write an incredible outline and then base the book on that. Whereas mine was like a bunch of stuff trying to cluster together, trying to organize it. So the book has been great because it's so cool. As you know, you get so many messages of people, how it's transformed their life and all this stuff. So it's been beautiful, but you can grab it as free as well with 40 guided meditations and a manifesting masterclass with it. Or you can grab it on Amazon and you can get the free course with it as well. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So generous. We'll have all the links for Soul Society, for all of Erin's programs, her book, our card decks. I'm so excited. I know it's just going to be gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Everything that you do is, I love you. I love your brand. I love what you stand for. I love the mission and the work that you're doing in the world. Mm-hmm. And so before we wrap for today, what last bit of advice or inspiration would you like to give anyone listening?
I'd love to do a little spiritual mind treatment with you. Recognizing, so spiritual mind treatment is not about getting something. It's about becoming something. It's about embodying the highest of the highest consciousness to be the mental equivalent of whatever it is that you're ready to call in for your life. So first we go to the I am, and then we come back to the unique divine individual of choosing the expression, choosing the identity that we want in this lifetime. So let's just take a deep breath into the nose. And in this, I recognize the one source, the power that be, the I am, spirit, God, no matter what you want to call it, is the nameless. I recognize in this that is your true identity, that you are the all one with all of it, that spirit is your true identity with all. It doesn't matter what you call it. I know the truth of who you are, which is all potential, all love, all abundance, all vitality, every last drop of it. That's your true identity. And in this, I declare whatever is your deepest desire is your destiny. I know that you have a gift and message to bring to the world, and the highest product to produce is you. We want all of you. We want the dark, the light, the good, the bad, the sad, the happy, all of you. The most expressed you. We want to know the truth of who you are, and every last drop of your desire is destiny. And so I know this with gratitude as I energize and know we see you, we feel you, we know the lives that you're going to touch and all of the lineage that you heal within yourself and in your DNA. And so I just say yes, release it. It's been heard in the divine mind, as together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
I love you so much.
Oh, Dr. Erin, I love you more. Thank you so much for gracing us with your wisdom, your presence, your faith. The work that you've done on yourself is so evident. So everyone make sure, and Erin, where can everyone follow you on Instagram and otherwise?
It's drerin.tv, so DRERIN.tv across all social media. And in the bio links, you'll find all the freebies and all of our workshops and the website and all that good stuff. And I have a podcast as well. Dr. Erin.
Yes. So follow my beautiful
Gina was on my podcast. In fact, you're like one of the only interviews I've done on my podcast, because I did 3,600 interviews on Good Morning La Land. So my podcast was just me teaching and doing money breakthroughs and all this stuff. But Gina's been on my podcast.
Yeah, I called her when my book came out, said, Erin, I need help. Pandemic thwarted my book tour and I'm doing a podcast tour. Can I be on yours? And this generous soul had me on there. So yes, stay close to her. She is one of my besties. I only share with you the best of the best. So subscribe to her podcast, follow her on Instagram, go sign up for all the free stuff, and then you'll see if one of her paid programs is right for you as well. Erin, thank you. And to be continued.
Love you.
Did you love the episode as much as I did? I hope so. I hope that you're feeling filled up and that all your dreams are possible and that you absolutely have what it takes to do this. And I am here for you. I'm here on your journey. And I just want to make sure that you are constantly supported with all things Queen, high vibe, positivity, spiritual superpowers, and all the things. So if you have not already gotten in on the free companion course to my book, my book is The Audacity to Be Queen, The Unapologetic Art of Dreaming Big and Manifesting Your Most Fabulous Life. You can get my book. I'll leave the link in the show notes. But I also have a free companion course. Whether or not you get the book, this course is meant to just support you with really taking a look at who you are and how you can get to where you want to go. So you can check it out at divineliving.com/audacity, divineliving.com/audacity. That link will be in the show notes as well. Like I said, it's completely free. There's videos, there's workbooks, there's a Facebook group. So get in on this good free content, share the link with your friends, and enjoy.